Welcome to Seller's Journey, the podcast where we speak to great sales reps and leaders and share their real stories from start to sales success.
Hi, I'm Joseph Fung, and today I'm joined by Rick Endrulat. He's the president and co-founder at Virtual Causeway. Rick, thank you for joining us.
Hey, Joseph. Great to be here.
I'm so glad to have you on our show. We get to work with a lot of sales leaders, but you have such a fantastic journey and you see so many sales conversations. This is going to be a fun chat, I think.
Looking forward to it.
So to start things off, to help the audience kind of get to know you and understand Virtual Causeway a little bit better, while this isn't a show about pitching, I'd love to start off with that quick elevator pitch. What is Virtual Causeway?
Sure. So Virtual Causeway, we are an outsourced demand gen agency. So basically, we focus on various sales, marketing, and market research services for our clients who are all in the B2B space and usually have some type of complex sale. And ultimately, our goal is to help them generate additional revenue, streamline their processes, or even build new processes that they eventually bring in-house to help them sell and market their products.
So you have a whole team of people who are calling, dialing, and having sales conversations every day.
That's a part of our business. Sure, we do have a team of people that are doing outbound work and are having sales conversations every day on behalf of our clients, which is really cool and interesting because it gives me a really good cross section of what's going on in the market on any given day.
I love it. Your perspective on not just your journey, but how you're seeing sales reps succeed is going to be really interesting. To share a bit about your journey, maybe we can start at the start. Where did you grow up? Where did you go to school?
So I grew up actually, and I was born in Kitchener, and I went to school in KW, and basically ended up going to university. I went to Laurier and did my undergrad in honors English with a business minor. So spent a lot of time, working on with an arts degree, basically. Graduated from university and then ended up working for a software company here in Waterloo called Whatcom, which was a spinoff from the University of Waterloo.
Now, you'd shared that you didn't just pick up those roles right away. You spoke about how music was a large part of your life, and you dabbled a little bit in that. Maybe you can share a little bit about that part too.
Sure. So I started taking guitar lessons as a young kid, probably in around the third grade. I had an older brother who was playing guitar. I had an older sister that played piano. So music was something that my parents always encouraged us to learn. And I just thought guitar was the coolest thing ever. My mom wanted me to play accordion, but I decided to focus on guitar. And my brother made sure that I focused on guitar and not accordion. So I started playing guitar at a young age and played all through high school and did the typical playing in high school band kind of thing. Through university, I was playing in various gigging bands and trying to make a little bit of money doing that. And then for a couple of years after as well, spent a little more time doing it a little more seriously while I was working, but then realized that, at that point in my life, I was very interested in trying to establish myself from a career standpoint, and being a gigging musician in bars locally and dealing with bar managers and other bandmates and trying to do a lot of that scheduling and all the other not so fun work it was getting to me. And so that's when I decided to focus on my career in sales and marketing.
Wow. So you had a role first on the marketing side of things. Can you share a little bit about what that was like?
Sure. So I started working for a company called Whatcom, as I mentioned, a spinoff from the University of Waterloo, which was a technical software company. And I started off as basically an entry-level marketing position. And then as part of my role, I was also helping to field inbound sales calls, basically. So if people were calling the toll-free number to ask questions about our software, that was part of my role, was answering the phone. And really started getting into a lot more customer conversations. And then when my company, Whatcom, was purchased by a company out of Boston, they had a much larger inside sales team, and I ended up reporting into that group and then managing a team here in Waterloo, Ontario, that was focused on doing some of the pre-sales work and inside sales work for some of our software products. So got into the sales side for a few years and then moved back to product marketing. The last few years I was at Whatcom, which was by that time was actually part of a company called Sybase.
So you started off in marketing, got to dip your toes onto the sales side of things, and then came back onto the marketing side. How did you compare the two of them?
Well, it's interesting because when you're in sales, you view marketing a certain way. And I certainly, when I went from sales to marketing, I was thinking that I was going to, fix the marketing function, and I was going to create this great sense of alignment between sales and marketing that seems to be missing in a lot of organizations still today. And then I moved into marketing, and then the marketing perspective is always that sales, marketing spends all this money generating leads and generating demand, and sales is not following up on leads fast enough, or sales is not closing. And so, having both perspectives, I felt like I had at least the opportunity to try to bridge that gap a little bit. And I built a team within Sybase that was an internal demand center that was focused on doing demand generation and sales development across multiple product lines within Sybase. And I enjoyed doing that so much that I decided, in 2001, after I had completed my MBA as well, part-time, in 2001, I decided that we'd start Virtual Causeway and do this for other companies.
Let's unbox that a little bit. What do you think was the trigger? What was the thing that kind of pushed you over that line to say, yes, I'm going to found my own company to do this? As a founder, having been there, I always love to hear kind of that ideation and that story. So I'd love to hear what kind of pushed you over the ledge to make that decision.
Sure. A big part of it actually was doing my MBA. I mean, when you do your MBA, you spend a lot of time looking at business problems, doing business cases, and everything is always from the perspective of, a decision maker. And, as a kind of mid-level marketing manager, when I was doing my activities through the MBA, I kept understanding that, I'd like to be involved in some of these bigger types of decisions. And through part of the MBA program, I took an entrepreneurship course, and then, of course, just started thinking about what would be really neat if I could, what I've done, built and built inside at Sybase, it was something that I could do for somebody else, and I could do for other software companies. And I just really, really, really enjoyed the idea of trying to do my own thing. And it was basically the MBA that pushed me. I mean, as part of my MBA, I actually put together the business plan for Virtual Causeway, or at least very early stages of it. And then my wife, Cynthia, was very supportive, and I just really started working on the plan and figuring out how I can make it happen.
That's awesome. Now, you've had this journey in marketing, sales, now delivering those services for others. What do you think has been most surprising? What's surprised you most about your journey and sales as a career?
What has surprised me most, I think, is that you realize, especially after running a business, that sales is part of everything you do. I mean, when you're meeting a prospective candidate from an HR standpoint, you're selling in terms of being able to explain what you do, why they should come work for you. And, when you're talking to the bank, when you're talking to Revenue Canada, when you're talking to your accountant, I mean, every aspect has something that I would consider selling within it. Whether or not people realize it, or whether or not they say that it's sales. So, that's something that surprised me, is how the whole concept of sales and the whole discipline of sales crosses so many different areas. And even with School of Rock, which is, as I mentioned, something that we had started, which was a performance-based music school here in Kitchener-Waterloo, the, sales is a big part of that as well, in terms of, prospective clients coming in terms of even dealing with local venues and convincing them to let you do your seasonal show at their event. I mean, the sales is just something that permeates everything that you do.
I'd love to dig into that. Thank you for bringing up School of Rock. So if I imagine, and I mean, I don't know your businesses as well as you, but I have to guess that the type of company who would reach out to Virtual Causeway for marketing and sales and customer success from research services would be a very different buyer than the student or the parent of a student you might reach out to with School of Rock.
Right.
But you just said that in both of them, selling is fundamental. So what would be some of those similarities, maybe surprising or otherwise, between the two?
Yeah, it's actually really interesting. So when we first started School of Rock, which is obviously a consumer-based product or service, you're selling to students as well as parents, versus Virtual Causeway, where we're selling to B2B organizations that are, in a lot of cases, have complex sales or enterprise sales. One thing that I really found interesting with School of Rock was that, lead flow and thinking about the process of generating leads and converting leads and moving them through the buying process is very similar. I mean, when we first started, School of Rock and talking to other School of Rock owners, a lot of them didn't really think through it and didn't think through the process. But we were able to take a lot of the processes we used with Virtual Causeway and for our Virtual Causeway clients, adapted them for our buyer. I mean, understanding a little bit in terms of different sales cycles and different needs and pain, but ultimately taking some of those same processes and building them into how we marketed School of Rock. So even just as simple as setting up a cadence for outbound emails, and then figuring out where leads go based on that. If somebody responds and they're interested in a certain type of program, then this should be the next step, and then working through the workflow and figuring out how to manage those leads over time. That's the kind of stuff that we've always done with Virtual Causeway, and it was interesting taking those processes and trying to apply them to more of a consumer-based business.
I love how thoughtful you are about it. The way you're describing that sounds very similar to your early comments about kind of field marketing and sales. Sounds like a fun parallel there.
Yeah, and it was actually when we first started. A lot of consumer-based businesses are based on reacting, right? So people call or people stop in and say, "Oh, I'm interested. What can I do?" Or, "Oh, this looks really interesting. I want to sign up for guitar lessons." So a lot of inbound lead generation or inbound lead management. But what we did is when we started School of Rock is we really started focusing on how can we start doing some more proactive outbound activities that can help fill the funnel and not have to wait for some of that organic inbound inquiry to happen.
I love how you mentioned the guitar lessons there again. It feels a little bit like this first part of your journey has been bookended a little bit by guitar lessons, and in the middle you dodged accordion, you've done field marketing, launched a couple of companies. What are you proud of? What success are you most proud of so far?
I guess there are a few different things. With Virtual Causeway, we've been in business since 2001. I mean, when I first started the organization, and when I first started doing the business planning, it was still, kind of pre-tech bubble. And my goal was, grow the company in 5 to 6 years and then look at some acquisitions and some hyper growth. And then obviously based on, different changes in the economic situation, not that slowed a bit. But I think what I'm proud of is the fact that, we were able to start a company, able to have real local and community impact, both through, supporting local companies and clients, but also through our employees and being able to support them and their families. I mean, those things are really important to us. And as we grow and as we continue to operate, we also spend a lot of time supporting other nonprofits and other organizations locally that can have some local impact. So that's something I'm really proud of. And I think the biggest part of it is it's a sustainable business, so we're able to grow through our clients' growth, and we are able to help our clients also build sustainable businesses and sustainable lines of business and succeed. So that's really important to me. And then of course with School of Rock, a big part of that, even though the business is no longer open, I think we made a huge impact when we were operating, and a big part of that was really making a huge impact on our local community. I mean, I still have parents and students that are reaching out to us saying how much they miss it and how much it really helped their students and their kids with school, and really seeing some of these kids as they start growing, they're succeeding and they're doing some really cool things. That's really important to me.
So let's cast that forward a little bit then. If you think about future Rick, what's something you hope to congratulate future Rick for?
Well, I mean, I think especially as we're in this current pandemic situation, I think as I hopefully in the future, I'll be congratulating myself for figuring out and continuing to reinvent how we do things that we do at Virtual Causeway. I mean, the whole demand gen space and the whole sales and marketing space for technology since we started in 2001 has changed dramatically. And based on what's happening now and how business might be shifting, I mean, my goal and the goal for the organization is we need to continue to reinvent ourselves and look at opportunities that might come out of this, that we can play a bigger role and we can help our clients get through this and keep growing too. So I certainly hope that I'll be thinking back, in 5 years saying this was a great opportunity for us to look at what we can do and how we can support our clients, and ultimately come up with higher value activities and ways that we can add value for our clients and help them grow.
I love that vision. I'm looking forward to congratulating future you for the same thing, because I think that would be a fantastic outcome. We're nearing the end of our time together. Are you okay if we flip over and ask you a couple of rapid fire questions?
Sure, let's go for it.
Awesome. Okay, so we'll do these quick, one after the other. First off, what's your favorite sales tool?
Well, our CRM, which is Salesforce.com. Close second is LinkedIn.
Nice. I love how you snuck in the two answers for that. That's awesome. And what about a movie? What's your favorite movie?
Godfather. First one.
Oh, nice. Oh, there you go. I was going to ask you which, but you jumped that. I love it.
You learn a lot about business watching those movies. That's for sure.
Oh, yeah. And I've got a guess on this based on the themes of our conversation, but when you were a kid, what did you want to grow up to be?
Well, you're probably going to guess I wanted to be a rock star, but yeah, that was my early goal was to be a rock star, and now I'm happy to be helping our clients be rock stars from a sales and marketing standpoint.
I love it. Rick, thank you so much for sharing your time and your journey. I picked up a number of tips and I've loved it so much. This has been a great conversation. I'm looking very much to our next chat.
Great.
Rick, hopefully we chat again really soon. Hope you're having a fantastic day and that you and your family are staying safe and sane in these interesting times.
Thank you, and back at you.